Welcome, everyone. Welcome to the Still Loading podcast. We know you guys are like us. You had a busy day, so let's discuss a few topics everyday people discuss. We'll talk careers, tech, science, relationships, and yes, some sports. Our pod is for entertainment purposes only, so take what we say with a grain of salt and maybe a shot of tequila. So grab your favorite wine, bourbon, or beer and chill out with the guys. All right, my man Ace, how was the weekend?
What's going on, Kane? It's going pretty good, man. Can't complain. It was my mom's birthday on Friday. God rest her soul. Um, got some flowers, did the whole thing, and went to the bar, played some pool. Won a few, lost none, and left a winner.
Nice, nice.
Left a winner. What about you, man?
Beautiful. Yeah, I just spent some time with the kids, man, and just really enjoyed, my time with them and just watched them age and grow up. And I'm just sitting there looking at them like, man, life is just flying by. My kids just getting bigger and bigger, and they're talking about summer jobs now, and I'm just like, wow, like
Mm,
it's really crazy to think about, just how things move so quickly. And so, they're talking about summer jobs, and I was just talking about the fact that, my father always told me not really to work. He did let me do like side jobs if I wanted to paint, people's houses or,
mm,
that was something I used to do a lot as a kid was, paint people's rooms and things like that. So when people would buy new houses, they would always ask me to do it. So I would go ahead and
nice.
just, paint and, make a little money on the side, or I would shovel on the snow, stuff like that. And so, my father was cool with that, but he always used to tell me, you're not getting a real job until you need to get one, because he just
I
wanted me to
love
enjoy,
that.
being a kid, and I definitely appreciated that, as I've gotten older.
Yeah, complete opposite for me. Uh, my dad owned a security company, so by the time I was able to you know, uh, walk and talk and see the world for what it is. He put me in the security outfit and was like, "You're going to be standing at the door during quinceañeras and dances, and you're not going to say a word." And so that was my childhood. I grew up very fast. Being one of nine kids, it was like I always had something going on, whether it's
Right.
cleaning, whether it's washing the cars and waxing the cars, or doing the lawn, what have you. Always
Yeah.
had to work.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's a really good thing to teach kids what it's like to earn a decent living. I think, unfortunately, this generation now and the younger generations, they want things handed to them. It becomes very easy to just say, well, I know you have it, so why can't I just have it? And it's, when we were young, we had to really work hard to get money. I remember I used to shovel snow all day long, and I would come home with $40, and I thought I was rich. I
That's
thought
good
I
money,
made,
man.
I thought I made it, man. And when you think about it, it's like, had I done that now, I would have easily charged 300, 400, $500, but at the
And
time,
take your time and take your time. An hour.
exactly, you know? And so it's
Yeah,
just interesting how, we look at money and we look at time the older we get, because my time means money now. Like, I'm not doing anything, for free or just for a low cost when, I know how much my time is worth. You know what I mean?
absolutely. Absolutely. And so when it comes to that, I mean, like, how's schooling for your kids? Like, they have to go and do these summer jobs. Like, is that a must for the summer, or is it like something that's optional? Like, what
Yeah,
is it
it's
like for
definitely
them?
optional. Yeah, it's just something that I think they want to do. They just enjoy having extra money. They don't like having to ask me for money, because I'm always pushing, and I always give them. Like, I never really make it hard for them. I just always wind up giving it to them, but I do want them to know nothing comes free. So I just
Absolutely.
always make sure it's, hey, did you do everything you needed to do for school? Did you make sure your room was clean? Did you take care of your chores? Did you do everything that was required before you ask for more? And so I know how they are. They're very
Mm.
independent and they like being able to do it for themselves, and that's great. But there's still, a level of balance that I try to give them.
I
But
mean, you
that
have to
kind
have
of,
that, man.
yeah, I think that, having a good Department of Education within the school system is great, because it allows for, kids to find these types of opportunities where they can, actually find things that they enjoy, and they can find things that help them develop. And so I think
Yep.
that that's very interesting as we talk about things like what is happening with the executive orders to dismantle the Department of Education. It's very interesting to see how all that plays out.
I mean, that's it's a very touchy subject, right? Like you got impacts on the schools, impact on the kids. What does it look like for the wealthier schools compared to the poorer schools?
Yeah,
It's tough, and I'm pretty sure a lot of schools are going to feel that.
absolutely. I was thinking about, they talk about the term school choice a lot, and
Hmm.
they also talk about the fact that charter schools have become a major topic. And, at one point I had my kids in charter school. I thought it was actually really beneficial. And I felt like the education system was great, but it does take away from the public education system. It's something that
Right.
draws people away from public education, which could then have an effect on funding. But what we're seeing now is the fact that when you don't have a good way to evaluate kids, you don't have a good way to manage their growth, that could cause future problems, and it will become harder and harder for kids to get the types of jobs that companies want to hire for. They want to make sure that they're hiring the best, and it depends on what we are offering in the school system. That will determine the types of kids that are able to get these jobs.
Also, the school districts, man. If you're not in a good school district, you're screwed. Now
That's
you have
right.
to move your family to another house. If you own a house, you have to put that up for sale, move somewhere else. You get to do all the things to get your kid into a better school system to help out with their future, right?
Very
And
true.
not to punch down on these, poor schools, but you got to get your kids into, you know, uh, a school that can help them with their future, that can help them, you know, uh, build up all the blocks to success, right? And then
Yeah.
what does success look like, right? Like when it comes to a poor school compared to, a richer school.
And that's the thing. That's the very topic, because why should a kid have to be in a different zip code in order to get a great education? I know when I bought my house, that was one of the things that I was looking for too. I wanted to make sure that the school district that I bought my home in was one where we knew the school system was good. I would look at the ratings just to see what they were
Hmm.
rated, and they were good. And that's where a lot of homeowners' tax dollars go to. It goes to the school system, and it should not be where if you live in a poor neighborhood, like you mentioned, the kids should have to suffer for that. They should get the same level of education as
Hmm.
any other child in public school should. And so
I
it
mean,
just this whole issue of classism.
dude, look at it, right? Like poorer schools. It's sad that the houses that are around the poorer schools are less than the houses that are going to be, near a richer school, right? You got schools that are, blue ribbon or, what do
Yeah.
they call them, world schools. Those houses are probably in the millions, right?
Mhm.
And you go
Yeah.
to poorer schools and those houses are, maybe 400, 500,000, and you got projects around them and etc. It's just, it's crazy what the environment is in both the different areas.
That's very true. And I've noticed now, I've been reading a lot of articles about what's happening in my state. And what is happening is that the more affluent areas, what they're doing is they're saying, and because typically what the government is trying to do is make sure that affordable housing exists in all of these areas. And so what's happening is a lot of these people in affluent places don't want to allow for affordable housing to become a part of their
Mhm.
neighborhoods because of whatever reason. Typically, it's always just, they don't want that level of, or, what they feel might be a certain type of element in their neighborhoods, because it might cause some level of degradation. But, everybody deserves a chance at success. Everybody deserves a chance at being able to live in a nice neighborhood and being able to
Mhm.
enjoy the things that other kids do. So I think it's a good thing to give that level of diversity in a neighborhood. Diversity is always good in a neighborhood.
Right. I was talking to a family friend, and they were talking about how their neighbor's son just left out of their district to go to a school out of their district because the wrestling department is better at this other school compared to this school that he was previously going to. And it got me thinking, you know, for those who are, gifted in sports and those who are, really smart and have something going for them, uh, they are allowed to go to these certain schools that are out of the district. They get that gift, right? Like, I'm going to allow you to come into our district because you have ABC or XYZ
Right.
that'll help uplift, our organization here. But if you don't have those criterias, then you're going to be pushed off to, you know, uh, the continuation schools that they have, right? They have continuations high schools. They have, all these different, adult schooling that they send these kids to. It's crazy.
That's very true. And when you think about all of those things, it really does have an effect on the middle class. There's been this talk lately about the war on the middle class and how the middle class is disappearing.
Mhm.
And I was actually reading an article about that this weekend, and it just gave some interesting statistics on the pay gap, right, that exists
Sure.
now versus the pay gap from, let's say, even just 40 years ago. Now, check this
Mhm.
out. CEOs versus production workers back, let's say, in the 1970s, the pay gap was 20 times. So CEOs made 20 times the regular production worker. Now
Okay.
that amount is 300 times.
Excuse me.
Yeah.
I'm gonna throw
From
up.
from 20 times to 300 times that amount, right? For a
Oh
production
my
worker.
God.
For doctors and nurses, doctors at one point were making 4 times what nurses make. Now they're making 8 times what nurses make.
What?
Yes. Partners in law firms were making 4x or 4 times what legal secretaries were making. Now they're making 40 times what legal secretaries make. And
I
bank
mean,
CEOs,
oh
they were
God.
making at one point 50 times what the bank teller was making. Now they're making 1,000 times what the bank seller makes. That
You know,
was staggering to me.
that hurts me, right? And I like to touch on the doctors versus nurses, right? Because nurses handle the bulk of patients, right?
Yeah, yeah,
And they earn significantly less.
yes,
Mind you, the doctor is going to be performing the surgery, looking at a piece of paper and determining what they have to go through, etc. But the nurses, man, they're in their, nighttime, daytime, and they just doctors can be say, like, I'm okay. I'm gonna work over in my clinic, and if you want me to go into your hospital, you're gonna have to pay me extra. Otherwise,
yeah,
I'm gonna go to this other hospital that's gonna pay me even more. It's crazy that nurses are allowed to also work at multiple hospitals, right? But the amount of time that they put in is significantly more than doctors. Yet
oh
doctors
yes,
make crazy amounts. That's wild.
very true, very true. And
Hmm.
it just really gets down to the fact of the matter, which is a lot of these hospitals now, a lot of these companies are ran by, for instance, a lot of people don't realize, but private equity owns a lot of hospitals. It's no
Hmm.
longer just, a state-funded hospital or a private hospital. A lot of these places are ran by companies whose only goal is to make as much money per participant or per admission as possible
Yes.
and
Yep.
cycle them out, right? And you've worked in certain types of industry where you know about that, right? Like
Hmm. Hmm.
it's from your experience, what did you see when it came to that?
Honestly, I've seen people going there for a scratch to a bruise, and they're being, sat in the waiting room for I don't know how many hours, right? And then when they go in there, they're getting looked at, they're getting the X-ray, they're getting all the things, and next thing you know, they have a $7,000 bill.
Right.
When it comes down to it, man, like when you're having certain injuries, you have to know when to just go to the hospital or go to an urgent care or do some homeopathic stuff. There's many other options out there, but not many people have the resources or the tools to do it.
Yeah. And it's sad that we even have to think like that, right? Where we have to determine if we should go to the hospital or to the emergency room because we're afraid of the cost. Like that should not be the case at all. That should never be a concern. And in
Yep.
most, advanced countries, first world countries, that is not a thing. But it seems
Hmm.
that, we here are so focused on privatization and making sure that, companies actually run the services that everyday people need. That just drives up costs more and more. And I think that that's what a lot of, the war that is happening right now in politics is all about, right? Democrats versus Republicans. You know, we
Hmm.
see that with Trump's administration. You could see that they are pushing more and more towards privatization. That's what the whole goal of shutting a lot of these departments down is for, right? Department of Education, Veterans Affairs, Social Security
Yep.
Administration. The whole point of shutting these down is to now create a company, and even the postal service, right? They're saying, okay, we want to get rid of all these federal services and now make them where a company owns them, a company manages the process, and a company can pretty much set prices any kind of way they want to, just to make sure they can turn a
Judge,
profit.
jury, and executioner, my friend.
Yes,
Plain and
yes,
simple.
you
They
know,
don't want no
and
oversight. They want to make the decisions. That's it.
right, right, and it's a big problem, and Democrats seem to be having a very hard time being able to communicate that to the people, right? It's a very difficult them to be able to say, "Hey guys, this is bad. It's not good to, have the government cutting your services because that will affect, how you do everyday things. It will affect how long you spend on the phone when you're checking on your social security check. It will affect the
Hmm.
veterans being able to call into veteran suicide hotline because they're dealing with some mental concerns and issues. And there's
Hmm.
people don't think about the real life consequences of these types of cuts. And it just brings to mind, like, what is the Democrats' problem? I was watching the news
Yeah,
and it about the fact that they have a 29% approval rating right now. You know?
that's ridiculous. I mean, that blows my mind, right? And there's a lot of, I would say, inconsistencies with their messages,
Yeah,
right? They're
correct.
trying to appeal to the masses while at the same time, beating up on each other over who's right and who's wrong. And I feel like they're trying too hard, right?
Yeah, yeah, I agree
So,
with you. I think that, and one of the things that I can say, about the Democratic Party is it's a very wide tent, right? There's people of different cultures who represent the party, different education levels, different, of course, ethnic backgrounds and races of people, right? And so, it's one of those things where the one unique message is very hard to accomplish when your tent is that wide. When you see with Republicans, they typically tend to make up a majority of a certain type of demographic, and it's
yep.
very easy for
Hmm.
everyone to be able to communicate the same message. That's one thing I've always watched, even back when President Obama was around. I used to watch the Republicans. I used to watch Mitch McConnell. I used to watch, the leader of the House, John Boehner. I used to watch all those guys at the time, and their
They
messaging
made it
was
fun. They made it
exactly
fun.
the same, bro. Their message was exactly the same. They never ever deviated from that message. I'm talking about the Republicans, of course. Like they would get out. You would see one on CNN. You would see one on CBS. You would see one on Fox. You would see one.
Consistency, bro.
Yes, the
That's it.
message was always the same. And
Hmm.
that's one thing about Democrats is they are not good at keeping the same message and making it where it's relatable. I hope that that's something that they can figure out as time passes.
I mean, they can say the same message, say similar messages, and the next thing you know, they're going to be having some, internal fights. Think about the Bernie versus Biden policies, right? Bernie
Yeah,
didn't give a shit about what Biden was putting out. He hated that shit, and he just started throwing it out there like, hey, you know what? I do not approve of this. I do not agree with what he's doing. I want to go a different direction. And
yeah,
a lot of people saw that and was like, what's going on here? There's a lot of people having eyes on this. And you look at freaking our vice president right now, where he was before and where he's
oh
at
man,
now.
that guy's man. You talking about a complete 180? I've never seen anything like that in my life. Like,
I
man,
have
just 4 or
with
5
that guy.
right? Like just 4 or 5 years ago, like it's like, who are you? Like this guy was talking about the president in all types of ways. He was a dictator. He was, and now he is literally at the feet of this man, and it's just really disturbing to see where they are right now. I really hope
I would
Democrats.
say
Yeah, man, it's just really interesting to kind of see how this is all kind of playing out.
they're just not successful,
No,
and you know, it's just so crazy when you talk about success, right? The Anthony Mackie, he was talking about success in America, and do you ever notice how people just talk about success, right? like it happens. You know, one day you're broke, next day you're rich. Mackie was talking about this, right? And everyone's punching down on him because of his words and how he came out about male masculinity, etc. But going back on success, he made a solid point that people are being taught the grind, right? They're being taught the grind from a young age back in the day, but not anymore. The grind has completely just been dissolved. And, social media got folks thinking that success is just luck, you know, but the truth is, without work, without effort, your success goes down the drain. And the crazy part is back in the day, the middle class was the grind. You worked hard, you built a life, you were able to buy a house,
Right.
easy pickings. Now,
Yeah.
your security is disappearing in the middle class. So if we're
Yeah.
not pushing hard work and the economy is stacked against us, what's going to happen to us?
Yeah, it gets back to that argument about, or the discussion about, just the different salaries, like we talked about the CEO versus the production worker, doctors versus nurses, and when we look at
Yep.
housing costs now, it's literally, 3 to 4 times the price of what it was just 10, 15 years ago. No one can buy a
Hmm.
home now. If you didn't buy your home 5, 10 years ago, it's extremely difficult to buy now. And that's what I enjoyed about Anthony Mackie's comments was just the fact that he's basically saying, it doesn't matter how hard you work. Like working hard is important. His point of view was somebody still has to choose you and say, "Hey, I'm going to give this guy a shot." And
Absolutely.
I thought that was it was true. Like I can honestly say I have been on the receiving end of someone saying, "You know what? I don't know much about you. I see that you may be qualified in this area or that, but I'm going to give you a shot." And it's up to you to now prove that you belong to, you belong there, right? That you deserve to be there.
Hmm.
But it took someone to say, you know what, I like this guy, right? It took someone to say, you know what, I like the way you came in today. Maybe you had a nice suit on. You represent yourself well. Because you did that, I'm going to give you a shot that I wouldn't give anybody else. And
Okay.
I think that working hard, of course, is the cornerstone. Like that is the way we should be. That is the way every person should learn. And of course, technology makes that a little bit more difficult. But I do believe that you do need someone, especially when you're talking about fields like entertainment, right? Like entertainment is just a
Hmm.
whole other animal because someone literally has to know you or has to have seen your work. A lot of times they write roles specifically for a person,
Yes.
because of what they know about how that person can deliver. So there is a lot more truth to that, I believe, in certain industries, but it does apply everywhere.
Okay. I'll go to a barber shop. Mind you, I'm bald. So what they're
Mhm.
really doing is just shaving my head off and trimming my beard. But I go to the same guy over and over again. He's the owner. I go to him over and over again because I know that he does good work. He's
Right.
established. He has his own barber shop, and he's been doing it for many years. So I walk in, and he was busy at this moment, and he has a new guy standing there, asked me if I want to sit so he can cut me. I didn't give him a shot because I don't know him. I don't know what he's about. He
Right.
could be the best barber in the world.
Right.
But
Yeah.
I didn't know because I wasn't confident or comfortable enough to sit in that chair and have him hook me up the same way my barber hooks me up, you know? So
Yep.
going back to that point, right? It's not earned, right? Like it's given. I'm gonna give you the chance to hook me up. And I tip very well. It's an expensive haircut. It's well, let's be real, it's a whole experience. They put me in the chair, they put this mist in my face. It has like a lavender scent. They're doing a massage. I legit fall asleep. I'm not even kidding you. I fall asleep. It's
Yeah.
amazing. I
Yeah.
don't know if this guy can massage like he does. I don't know if he could put me to sleep. I know it sounds a little crazy, but I don't know if he could put me to sleep the same my man does. You know what I'm saying? Like I need that
No.
experience. That's why I go here. I don't go here for new experience. I want my experience.
Yes, yes. And you bring up a good point because I think that, of course, I've had the same experience. I go in the barber shop and I'm looking at every barber to see how they're cutting, to see if I like their style, to see how the people come out at the end of the cut. And so
Hmm.
I'm sitting there observing everyone. And like you said, if you're new, if you're standing there, to me, that means you're not good. like because
Hmm.
your chair should be filled or full no matter what. There should always be somebody in that seat. So a lot of times, if that
Absolutely.
chair is empty and you just standing there, I'm probably not going to go to you. You're gonna have my hairline looking crazy, and I
There's a
can't.
reason why you're standing there. Okay.
Exactly.
There's a reason why you're there on TikTok, probably doing a dance that no one's really caring about. Like, no, thank you.
That's so true. And you know, it's funny. It's funny you brought up TikTok because I was just thinking about the fact that in China, and you and I were speaking about this, the fact that
Hmm.
China, of course, TikTok came from ByteDance, right,
Right.
which was created in China, and it, it's interesting the experience that Chinese children have with TikTok versus the experience that American children have with it. And
Hmm.
I think it's very interesting that the things that we see here, they would never show their children there. It's
Right.
it just shows the difference in standards.
I mean, in China, they're teaching you how to, you know, build a house, how to, you know, solve equations and to be successful and how to build your business and how to market yourself. And then you go outside of China and next thing you know, it's all about, what's funny, what's exciting, entertainment, you know, what stupid crap are people doing today? What
Mm,
new dance is in the works now? And I see that on a day-to-day basis, man, whether it's, on the street, whether it's, even on Instagram, it's transformed into all these different platforms. And I'm
yes.
sitting there thinking to myself, what the heck am I seeing? I mean, I'm seeing, you know, girls shake
Yeah, it's very interesting, man.
this for 1 million likes, and then I'm thinking to myself, man, what the heck are they doing over there? So it's just crazy, bro.
Yeah, I was thinking about the fact that with I was on the subway one time. I'll never forget this. This was a couple years ago, and I'm on the subway in the Bronx, coming from Manhattan.
Hmm.
And, of course, different types of people. It's very interesting to be on the subway because you see certain types of people get on and off at certain stops, right?
Right.
So you notice that in certain areas, like certain areas like around, let's say, 149th Street in the Bronx or Grand Concourse or Yankee Stadium,
Mhm.
you'll see a certain type of crowd. As you start to go further out to the suburbs or, like let's say Forest Hill, Queens or something like that, like you see a different
Yep.
crowd of people. So I was on the subway once and there were two different groups of kids, two different groups of high school kids on the subway.
Hmm.
One high school group of kids was on their phones. They were on Instagram. They were on, Snapchat, and they were just showing each other funny videos and laughing. And then I looked to the side, and there's another group of kids. And those kids had their scientific calculators out,
Oh, that's awesome.
and they were sitting there with their notepads open, their pens in hand, and they're sitting there helping each other with their work. And it
Hmm.
just made me think about the fact that in this world today, we have consumers and we have creators. And
Oh,
looking at those two groups,
absolutely.
you can tell which group is the group of creators and which group is the group of consumers.
Who are the innovators, man?
Right.
Right? Who are the
Right.
innovators? And you have to think about that too, man, because people see these, these trends, these TikTok trends as, being innovative, right? But what is that really doing, to this economy? What is that really doing to, the US or to any other country out there? Is it crippling the next generation or is it taking it to new heights?
Yeah. I feel like, the good thing about technology is that if you have a good idea, you can literally become wealthy off of that idea.
Yeah, but
You
what
know,
does wealth really look like? You know?
I agree. And I think that one thing that I do appreciate is the fact that we have the opportunity, to use our brain and to come up with something that can be great. But I do see an issue there because when you have one person who makes 1,000 times the average person's salary, or one person's net worth is equivalent to 18 million people, right?
Hmm.
It's one of those things where, it becomes a true driver of imbalance, right? There's a big imbalance when A guy can come up with an idea, everyone uses it, and that's great that he came up with something that's a useful
Right.
service or an app that everybody uses because we do find usefulness in it. But should there be some level of balance, some level of equity in how that money is distributed? And I'm from the class where I believe if you come up with something great, you should be able to profit and benefit from that, and nobody should be able to
Absolutely.
take it from you, you know? But it just calls to mind when one person has that much power or that much, wealth, what does that mean for the everyday person? Is their voice the same? Like, is it equal to this person who has now made all this money? And most of the time, the
Okay.
answer is no.
So we talk about wealth, right? Maybe they're happy about the money that they're making, and maybe it's helping them out with their parents and lifestyle, etc. But what about teen depression? You know, it's increased 59% since 2007, and now that's linked to screen time, right?
Mhm.
Kids are having freaking shorter attention spans. They're struggling with face-to-face interaction. They rather talk to you on the phone than talk to you face to face.
Well,
We're
that's a
getting
good
more awkward. We're getting more and more awkward as opposed to like going out and experiencing. I remember having to ride my bike to my friend's, house and then playing Legos with him and having that face-to-face interaction. Sometimes we'll get on the guitar and get on the drums and we'll just start singing into nothing. Sometimes we'll sing to Kiss, we'll sing to whatever. It was fun. We did things outside of
right.
just being on a Game Boy. Is that what we used back in the day? A Game Boy
Oh,
or a
yeah.
Nintendo 64 or the Xbox,
Yeah.
and I think about that and I'm like, I was happy, right? And now we have all these screens and they're everywhere. We talked about it last podcast, but we give a kid an iPad, they're good, or the phone. We take it away, they go crazy, right? And
Yeah.
it's that instant like I know what's gonna keep them in a good mood, and it's unfortunately having a screen in their face. I don't know. Call me a
Yeah.
little old
And
school, but I'd rather just give a kid a book and say, hey, you know what? There you go.
right. Right. I think that there needs to be some level of balance indeed, because it's like at what cost? When everything is right in front of your face, you're now tied to that device. You're now tied to that thing. You're now dependent on it. And I think that, us growing up, we still had, like we talked about before, we had to go to the library, right? We had to know the
Mhm.
Dewey Decimal System. We had to spend time looking up things and trying to figure out how to make it apply to us. And if it didn't work, we had to go somewhere else. And so I think that, that's one of the things that's extremely important for us to be able to show is that there is a level of balance. It is good that you have creative people, you have talented people, you have people who can naturally sell. You have people who can naturally be creative with different ideas and bring that creativity to something tangible and something that you can actually grab and use. And I think that
Mhm.
just brings up the question is, with talent, is it the luck of the draw? I believe that Jay-Z actually made this quote. He said that every single person on this earth has a genius level ability. Most just haven't found it yet.
Absolutely.
And I firmly believe that because my thing is, we spend so much time, just doing what we have to do to make money that a lot of times we may be foregoing that one thing we know we're good at, but it's just like, okay, but can I make money off of this? Like, for instance, when I was in art school, I was in art school, I was painting, I was drawing, I was doing all these things. But of course, the question is, how is that going to support you when you become an adult, right? And, so my
Unless you hit
parents
it big.
right? My parents used to always say, like, you got to find something that is practical, like something you can actually do. And so, I
Mhm.
put that to the side because it's like, yes, this is something I enjoy doing. I'm good at it, but it can't pay my bills. And of course, this is right before the era of computer graphics and CGI being awesome. I'm like, man, like I just missed that.
Yep.
I could have been working at
Yep.
Marvel or Disney, So it's
No, I'd rather have you here. No offense, brother, but this wouldn't be, still loading without you.
appreciate you, my good brother. But yeah, like it just brings up that thought, like, how much of it is hard work, how much of it is talent. And because I don't think it's just that certain people are blessed with talent. It's just that some people just haven't figured out what their talent is yet. And
We're, we're all born the same way, man.
Yeah.
We're not born with talent. It's something that's crafted within you, and you're gonna have to work on it on a day-to-day basis. And a kid could be looking at a tree in a classroom, and you may think that, he's just, I don't know, not listening, ignoring the teacher, but really they're looking at all the artistic values of the tree and how it sways and how the branches, move up and down, the leaves fall off the tree. And it's amazing when you can look at life in a different lens, right? And I think that's what you did. You looked at life in a different lens, and you went to art school and you saw all the things, and you were like, you know what? It didn't happen for me right now. You're still artistic. You still go to all these art galas, right?
Yeah. Yeah. You know what it is, and I do firmly believe that certain people just have certain sensibilities about them. Like in my case, I always, whenever I look at anything, I kid you not, I look at it in black and white. Like I look at it in pencil because I draw everything, I sketch everything. And so, literally, my first thought in my head whenever I look at something that I see a tangible object, or like you said, a tree or a cloud, I'm always thinking in my mind, how would I draw that? How would I paint that? And then I actually see the image. Like, you know what I mean? It's very weird. Like, it's just how my brain operates and the things I look for. And it's like other kids, they can see something. Like some kids have literally said they see sound and color. Like they
Mm.
see, like certain songs, certain colors will trigger in their brain. It's just amazing to me how the brain works and how people have these different skills and abilities, and they literally see the world differently. And some people
Yeah.
just haven't figured theirs out yet. Some people could be awesome actors. Some people could be awesome welders. Like these are all talents. These are all things that you could be really good at, and no one else can do it better than you, or very few can. It's just that
I
we
mean,
haven't had the time to cultivate it. Like it has to be cultivated, like you said before. It's important.
yeah. I mean, you're right. It does. I was looking at this guy on Instagram. He had buckets of sand stacked on each other, and he pokes a hole in the bottom bucket and watched that as they all fell down, and apparently that's art. So, you know, art can be apparently anything. I mean, it could be, me making a mess with spaghetti while eating it with my bare hands. I call that art. Others will call that a mess. So, I
Yeah.
I truly see that though. There's so many different ways that you can portray art, right? You see things in black and white and sketch. I see things, in, I think, sepia. I like things looking a little bronzy before, color starts to take over.
Mm. Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, man, it's crazy how you can see things in a different light. And when I hear, going back to Anthony Mackie for a moment,
Mm.
when he talked about his kids, right? And he talked about how uh, they don't have any Jordans, how, they're learning to say yes, ma'am, no, ma'am, yes, sir, no, sir.
Yeah.
Saying good night before they go to bed, good morning after they wake up. When he goes to work and he's gone for extensive amount of time, tells his eldest, "You're the man of the house. You have to, protect your mom. Lock the doors at night. You know, call or text me before you go to bed. Call or text me after you wake up." And I hear all these things, and I think to myself, like, that's pretty awesome. I I
Yeah.
like that. And you being a father, do you resonate with that?
Absolutely, man. Like to me, you always have to raise men to be men. I know there's always been this debate about straight men in America today, and how a lot of men can't be trusted. A lot of
Hmm.
men in that capacity. And to me, it's just, if you are raising young men, you have to raise them to not be toxic with their masculinity, but you have to show
Yes.
them that it's okay to be balanced, right? It's okay to be a strong man. It's okay to be someone that a woman can talk to and feel protected by. And know that no matter what, he's going to give her the best advice he can. He's going to give her the
Mhm.
best information he can. And unfortunately, today, a lot of men have done the opposite of that. You know, some men have really shown that they can be disgusting individuals. And, you know, it's important for us to just remember that, yeah, while we're all still growing, everybody's human, right? We all have,
Yep.
you know, these struggles in life, and everybody is up today, down tomorrow. It depends. But, you know, we still, no matter what, we know how to open doors for women. We know how to make sure that,
Mhm.
you know, a woman, when she's with us, she can feel protected. We walk on the outside of the street. You know, we open up the door, you know, we just open up the car doors. We make sure we just do all the things we can. Like, for instance, I would never let my woman touch the garbage. You know, like,
Mhm.
I'm taking that garbage outside. Don't put your hands on it. I got it. You know, and so there's just certain things that,
Hey, that's
you know,
good.
you do to make sure that they know, like, even if you are fine with doing it, I wouldn't allow. I don't feel comfortable with you doing it. And some women like
Right.
to do that stuff. I remember seeing a video one time where this woman was shoveling outside, and her husband was like, "No, what are you doing? Like, I'll do it." You know, and you know, she was like, "No, but I really want to do it. Like, I enjoy it." And it's like, maybe you can find that balance. Maybe as you guys both go outside and do it together. But his thing was
Mhm.
like, no, like, you go inside and you drink some cocoa and watch me while I do it, you know?
Or how about she gets the power drill and says, I'm gonna put up something that's 10 feet high. Yeah, okay. The dude's gonna be
Mhm.
like, nah, 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 nah. Give me that power drill. I'll do it. And you see her laughing like, yeah, that's it. That's right. That's exactly what I wanted. You gotta make it cute sometimes, not just like, oh babe, you can nah. You want to make it a little fun, spice it up.
You know what's interesting is that I knew a young lady who, she's a good friend of mine. She's married now,
Hmm.
and when she's always been like this, and this is when I talk about talent. Like, this girl, she could literally view something and come up with an awesome idea through woodwork or just like masonry with fabric. She just was super creative, and she could literally design a whole house from scratch. She could take pieces of wood and just make beautiful sculptures, bookcases, built-ins, and she did it all herself. She loved
Awesome.
doing handiwork, and mind you, she was a girly girl. Like, she was a woman's woman. She had her nails done all the time. She had her hair done, but she would pull out that power drill.
Looks can be deceiving. Looks can
Yeah,
be deceiving, my
she
brother.
would pull out that
Hmm.
drill and she would get to work. And I just was like, man, that's amazing. And what's crazy is now she's married and she's kind of bringing her husband along. Like, he was never really like the handy guy like that. And like, so it's kind of like, what would that dynamic look like? Like, your girl has got the power drill, she's got the saw, the miter saw.
She don't give you a piggyback ride.
Like, this girl she gets busy. And like, the whole backyard, I mean, when I tell you she redid the entire backyard, put like pergolas out there, had the paver stones, like, I mean, I was amazed. I was like, this
Gets it
is
done.
yo, like, she gets it done. And I love that. Like, I think that's, you know, especially when it's your passion. It's like, okay, that's your way of exercising your creativity. That's something you're great at. Go ahead, do your thing. But I want to learn from you. I want to learn with you
Right.
as you're doing it. And I want
Right.
to make you feel like you got to do it by yourself.
Yeah, exactly. That's something that can be great for a relationship. You know what? You're doing this all the time. Can I help? Can I learn? Right? Can I be a part of your journey? Right? And I think that's really important in relationships is that when you're seeing your partner do something so often, if it's something that you can, genuinely do, why not join them? Why not be a part of their world? Because they're a part of yours. Like, for example, I like trading cards, right? I like
Mhm.
collecting sports cards. I used to game, right? And you know, it may not be what my ex wanted me to do, but she would support me. Or it may not be what, you know, my girl would want to do, but she would support it, right? It'd be things like that, right? And it's like they don't know my world, but they want to be a part of it because I'm doing it. And I think
Right,
it should be reversed too. If your girl's cooking, it's like, can I help you? They may tell you to get the hell out of the kitchen,
right,
right?
yeah.
Don't be in my space. This makes me happy. Get out. Get your
Mhm.
drink and get out. Go do your cards.
To me,
Go
honestly,
watch
that's one of the
watch some
sexiest things.
football.
That's one of the sexiest things a woman can say to me is, get out the kitchen. Like, she like, don't
Oh
touch.
man.
I'm like, oh, really? Seriously? Okay.
Shit, that's
All right,
foreplay right there, brother.
all right, baby. I
Mm.
love that,
Let
bro.
me
Like,
let me dip my finger in that sauce.
yeah, like if I'm cooking in my house or like, maybe I'm about to help out. Now, mind you, young lady might be cooking in my house, but tells me to go sit down. I'm like, okay, I can do that. Fine.
Hmm.
I think that is dope. Like, that's one of those things that I just enjoy. And of course, like I think that in relationships is like you said, is that's a perfect thought is I might not be into what you're doing, but I want to learn about it. Like because it makes you excited. It gets, it
Hmm.
gets you happy. What can I learn from you? Like maybe I'll get excited just like you do, over these things if I learn more about it. So I think that's pretty dope. And then you also have situations where people don't have much in common. So what they wind up
Oh yeah.
doing is, bouncing and not necessarily telling the other person they bounce. You
Peace.
know, you know, and,
Skedaddle.
right. And, so that's ghosting is a thing. I think that's
I know. It's like the thing that you don't want to say, right? Ghosting.
yeah,
Mufasa. You know?
exactly. Like, and of course, have you ever been a victim or were you the villain?
Man, I mean, yeah, I think I've been both the victim and the villain. I think more so the villain, if I'm being completely honest.
Of course, I got you.
I mean, I've been a victim where, I felt something and she was like, nah, and just doesn't say a word. Which, you know, me being myself, I'm like, damn, you could have just said, hey, I don't want to talk to you anymore. But then I do the same thing and I'm like, I can't really say anything, right? But like, it's a thing, man. You don't vibe with someone and, you don't want it to be awkward by saying, hey, you know what, it didn't work out. And then sitting there playing 21 questions and probably get roped into seeing that person again because they made a good point and why not give it another try? Sometimes you just want to be done with it and just dip.
Yeah,
And it's not a good thing. Yeah, I get it. Sometimes it happens, and
yeah,
that's life,
you know,
I don't know.
yeah,
What about
it's
you?
yeah. I would say I've been both probably as well. Like where it's
Hmm.
just one of those things where
Oh,
just
I'm sorry,
sometimes
Kane. Which one were you more of?
probably more the villain. I was definitely Palpatine. Um, I was that guy that was just I was the guy
Kane was
who
probably. I think you were more. Yeah.
like with me it was just one of those things where it just became about time, right? It was just one of those things where was my time going? How was it being spent? And sometimes what would happen is like if I was working on major projects or whatever the case might be, it just really made me realize that sometimes I just didn't have the time for it. And so
Hmm.
it was just, it didn't happen purposefully. It just maybe I couldn't devote as much time as I wanted to. And so the other
Hmm.
person, the young lady, she would get upset. And before I realized it, I'm like, man, it's been a week. It's been 2 weeks. Like, it's funny how that happens. Like one day turns to 2 days, turns to 5 days, and then turns to 2 weeks. And then before you know it, it's
Yep.
like, man, how did I go this long without even speaking to the person? And so,
And then when you say hello, it's like, oh, hey, straight.
right, exactly. And so
Yeah.
to me, it's kind of like, all right, we went this long. Do I really need to speak again? I think I'm good. So
Mm.
it's it's just it's becoming one of those things where I think we have to just be better with it. Like, and I know it happens. It's
Mhm.
just the nature of the business. And of course, when you have the ability to meet someone new so easily, um, it's not good. It's not good.
Right.
Um,
No, I feel that. I feel that. And, you know, sorry to all the ladies that I ghosted in the past. No hard
yeah,
feelings,
same here. Same here. Please
you know.
forgive me, ladies. Like, that's never something we want to do intentionally. It's just when you're young and you're dumb and you don't you make the wrong decisions, but we see the error in our ways. It's
Except for the
definitely
crazy asses. You know, you know why you got ghosted. I'm sorry.
oh
I'm
yeah,
not
yeah.
gonna
There's been a couple of crazies. Like no,
get
come on, God, like
blocked.
nightmare stories, man. I tell you, like
Don't get me started, bro. We will
oh
be here all day, all night. leading into the next week.
Oh
I
yeah,
don't want to do
that's
that to
definitely something we need to broach, maybe with a little therapy first, but uh,
you.
yeah,
A lot
yeah,
of therapy.
that's a subject that's just man, wow, craziness. But I think that it's funny. Like I was just thinking because when you deal with certain people, sometimes they can be petty, and it
Mhm.
just made me think about this story I read the other day about this husband and wife that were divorced, right? And so
Okay.
I never saw anything like this before, but the husband was required to pay his ex-wife alimony, right? And so
Okay. Fair
what
enough.
he did was he didn't just pay her with a check. He actually took his checkbooks, had them sent off with his and his current wife's picture on them, and
No.
made sure that whenever he paid his ex-wife alimony, he paid her with that check.
I mean, I mean,
That's kiss right there. Like it doesn't get much better than that, man. I'm like, come on, man.
um, that's pretty badass, bro. Like, I'm not gonna lie. She must have done something very bad to make him want to get that petty. But like, would you go that far?
No, man. I mean, like, look, there's times when I thought about like, man, how can I get back at this person? Like I really just sat
All the
there
time.
and kind of ruminated, like, what could I do to this person that will bring them as much stress as they brought me? But at the end of the day, I kind of would always just be like, you know what? It will never benefit you to take that same action or move. So it
Would it?
just kind of stopped me in my tracks, man. Yeah, I couldn't be petty. Like
Mm,
as petty as some people I know are, like I couldn't do it, and I would want to do it, but I'm just like I'd feel bad.
why?
You know, I don't know, man. Like I was just the way my father was. He wasn't a dude like that. Like, and mind you, he had every opportunity to be, but he
Mhm.
just was always a quiet, chill dude. And I just always looked at him, and I used to be mad in the moment, like, Dad, why don't you get upset? Like, why
Mhm.
don't you do this and why don't you do that? And he'd be like, for what? Like, I'm going to
Okay.
sit here and spend more time being upset and just wasting my time thinking about something, and I could just move on. And I used to not understand it at all. But as I've gotten older, it couldn't make more sense. Like, and look, I'm not gonna sit here and say it's easy because it's for damn sure it's not easy. But
Mhm.
it just allows me the peace of mind to say, you know what, I'll move on because if
So
I
then,
don't, I'll be thinking about this all damn day.
how do you get over it?
Time, time for
Oh
me.
God,
Like, I typically,
this is why people are petty because they don't have the time to let time help them get over it.
uh,
Because once they're petty, they get over it. They're like, huh, I win, move on, right? That's why people are petty. They don't have the time to like wait for time to make them feel better. I'm sorry, but like sometimes petty is worth it. 50 Cent. 50 Cent's
y'all,
best.
Petty
Don't get me
King,
started.
Petty
Don't get me
King,
started. I mean K dot. Come on.
yo. I
Being
mean,
petty works out sometimes.
yeah, I mean, what was crazy is like, yeah, you gotta look at K Dot and just say, you egged this on, bro. Like you asked for this. You asked for
Mm-hmm.
this. You told me to
Mm-hmm.
drop. You
Mm-hmm.
told me to
Mm-hmm.
drop. You literally had a countdown on when I was gonna put out my next song.
Mm-hmm.
So okay, like
That's not any different than a relationship.
that's a fact. That's a fact.
Let me keep poking at you. You ain't
hmm
gonna do nothing.
Yeah,
Nah, you wait.
yeah.
Petty comes in different ways. It comes in different waves as well. And you know what? Petty does not age, right? Nope. You can
I
do it
mean,
an hour later, a month later, a year later. This is why I'm
yo, check this out, right? So I remember one time, right? I was living with my ex and
thinking
um
about something. Just think about that for a second.
where there was one time I was living with my ex and we were arguing. We in the house
Mm-hmm.
and I had just made this spaghetti, right? And I was starving too, right? I had just put it all together. I had my Parmesan cheese on there.
Mm,
Like I was just ready to get down, like, kill this. So
oh my
like we're going
God.
back and forth and she's standing right in front of me. And so I'm
Hmm.
like, listen, I just want to go sit down and eat. She was like, oh yeah? She tips the plate, she knocks it out my hand,
No.
and it falls all on the carpet at the time.
Murder She Wrote. Murder She Wrote. Sorry, my thoughts
Yo,
just got out there. Go
hey,
ahead.
when I tell you the level, I saw red, yo. I could not believe it. And then only thing I could muster up to say was, "You gonna clean this mess up? Like you cleaning this up?" And she looked at me and said, "No, I'm not cleaning up anything. You gotta clean.
Ain't no way. You stood there and you pointed at her and you said, "You go play."
You gonna clean this up, yo." It reminded me of that moment when Kevin Hart was talking to his comedy, where he's like, "You look crazy arguing with your girl when you got your baby on your in your arm." Yo, it was the exact same. I'm just standing there like, you can't be serious right now. I am livid. Not only did you knock the food out my hand that I was about to murder, but then you tell me I got to clean up the mess. Like she literally went in the room, closed the door, and I'm just standing there looking doofy in the face, like, oh my God, man.
Oh my
What am
God.
I going to do? I can't leave it here. It's going to set into the fibers. I got to clean this thing.
Give me the rag.
Bro, when I tell
Put
you,
some dub on that.
nothing says humble, like nothing gives you more humility than living with a woman, than like, just being in a relationship, period, because they will test your humility, your pride
Hmm.
in ways
Hmm.
that, and ladies, we love you. Please don't get it twisted. But,
Max.
y'all will push us to the absolute max, and we have to really make sure we know who we are as men. Like I
Oh.
remember, we were talking about celebrity crushes at one point, right? And they
Yeah.
get so disrespectful. Like
Hmm.
I don't know why, but it's a thing. Like, and it wasn't just one time I experienced it. Like I find that a lot of women, and I used to hang around with a lot of couples, right? And every single woman would talk about their celebrity crush like it was nothing, bro. And it was like they were just sitting like, let's say you're watching an award show and somebody comes up on screen. Let's say it's, Drake, or it's anybody, like, just anybody, like Aaron Pierre, or one of those guys, like,
Oh
and
my
it's just like,
God.
oh my God, like, this, and it's like your husband is sitting right there, like right in front of
They
you.
don't care. They don't care.
Like you didn't think that was like, maybe I won't go as hard. Like, I'll just say, oh yeah, he's attractive, whatever the case might be. No, you had to talk
Mm-mm.
about, boy, you had to get into all these different expletives and get real colorful
Hmm.
language. And meanwhile, your husband just standing there like, like,
And he has to take it. He has to take it.
yeah. Like,
That's it.
and what's crazy is I don't think I've ever really had a celebrity crush. What about you? I mean, like, if I
Oh,
did, it wasn't somebody that I
oh.
would just sit there and do that in front of my wife too, or girlfriend.
I mean, I've I've had a few. Anna de Armas is my
She's-
biggest celebrity crush.
yeah, she's pretty. I like her.
She is my queen. And
Yeah.
yes, I said that. Her looks, her eyes, her smile. I mean, I can go into detail, brother. Like, I love this woman. I don't think I'll love her in person. She seems very stuck up, but on screen, yeah, heck yeah, she does it. You know,
Yeah.
and I could say the same with a few others out there, but like that's probably my biggest celebrity crush. Like for me, my celebrity crush, if I ever meet her in person, I mean, I don't think I'd be like as jazzed because there's obviously more beautiful women out there than her, but
Right.
just her internet presence, right? Her on-screen presence, they do something for me. And I think
Mhm.
that's the difference, right? It's not like I want you to be mine. It's like I want to have a crush on you from a distance, right?
Right.
And if I
Right.
and if I ever met you in person, I might not like you. And that crush
Yeah.
will be
Yeah. And that's why they always say, yep. That's why they always say like the fantasy sometimes is better than the reality, right? Because you
new girlfriend.
Yeah, yeah. You wind up dealing with somebody, and then you realize, like, you're not all you're cracked up to be. Um,
Bye.
and it just made me think about like what we were talking about, like just understand that level that you can go to when you have a girlfriend. Right? There's certain things that we just can't say. Like, there's no way I would ever share like, oh man, yeah, that's my oh, she's so hot. Like I could never do that because my girlfriend will stare at me, and now I got to worry about what you're putting in my food. You feel
Uh, we've touched on that before on our phone conversations, and let me tell you, I will not be eating your food. I'll be ordering takeout. Thank you very much. Chicken and lamb over rice.
That's
Two
right.
lines of white sauce, one line of red sauce, one line of barbecue. Thank you.
That's a fact, man. Yeah, it's very strange, and so I always tend to make sure that whenever we talk and like I keep it very legit. And sometimes, like I never forget, we were having this debate over air dry versus towel dry, right?
Don't get me started.
And yeah, and my boy was telling the story one time. He was like, "Yeah, I was just talking to my wife about it, and she said, she never leaves out of the shower without a towel on. She always makes sure she has one on." So that just made me
Hmm.
think, like, how do most people like what do most people do in those cases? Like, what do I do? What do you do? Like for me, I've always been a towel dry type of person. Like I'm not stepping outside that shower without making sure that I'm completely dry before I walk out. Now in the summertime it's different. I
Hmm.
might like, like I like that cold air to hit me a certain way in the summer. That's different.
Right.
But
Right.
like otherwise, like if it's the winter, oh, I'm completely drying off because I hate to come out of the bathroom when it's cold.
Well, okay. So I think air drying's better. You know, and I think we've had this conversation before when you said that there's bacteria in the bubbles, right, etc.
Right.
Um, I'm here to tell you right now that that is false, my brother. Listen here. I'm gonna win this argument because when it comes to the towels and you're washing yourself, and if your towel is like even still damp from like you using it the previous night or from the morning and now using it at nighttime, the bacteria sits in the towel itself. So it's
That's true.
actually so it's actually better for you to air dry as opposed to towel dry because you don't get, irritation from towel. Like, I'm not going to beat up my guy down there by with the towel just freaking going at it. Nah, dude, I'm going to let that thing air dry. I'm going to just, vibe out. and,
You ain't gotta
and
go at it, man. Like it's just you just dab and dry it, man. No, it's like
dap and dap.
man, and what's crazy is like it's just one of those things like you gotta put your leg up. You gotta make sure you get in all the areas, man, because you gotta make sure you
Get your
dry. You
leg up.
can't, yeah, you can't, you
Do
can't.
do you hear yourself right now? What? You have to put your leg up. What are we, dog? I mean, yes, I guess we are dogs in a sense, but like, bro, I'm not putting my leg up to do all that. And
Listen,
let me ask you a question. Do you use a rag for different parts of the body compared to your
yes.
towel, or do you use a towel for everything?
I use different rags. So, I've been seeing that debate on social media where they be talking about like, oh, I don't use a rag or I don't wash my legs. I just let the soap run down my legs. And I'm like, bro, that's just nasty. You have to wash your body and you can't just use like soap. You have
Mhm.
to use a rag because a rag is what I would say a washcloth, right? That's what makes sure you get all the grime off of you for the
Mm,
day, like all the dead skin. Like that
mm.
stuff lives on it. Like if we don't take proper care of our bodies, it's what it is. And that can cause issues down the line. That's why a lot of sicknesses develop. Like people just think, oh, I could just hop in the shower and just put some water on my body and just get right back out again. Like that's nasty. You're
I'm gonna
nasty.
tell you something, brother. I was about 14 years old. I'm over at my friend's house, taking a shower. I'm spending the night. Taking a shower and, do my thing, get in the soap. I'm like, I think I'm going to use this rag, right? I mean, I'm going to use it for my face. I don't know why I did that, but I used the rag, put some soap on it, put it on my face, washed my face off, and then, got out of the shower. My friend goes in there next and he goes, "Did you use my rag?" I said, "What do you mean?" And he goes, "Did you use my rag?" I'm like, "Yeah, I use it to to wash my face, and he started laughing. He started laughing so hard that his parents come up the stairs and ask him, "What's going on? Why are you laughing? It's like 9 o'clock at night, right?" Oh yeah, he just used my rag for his face. Which rag? My shower rag. They started laughing. I didn't know what the heck they were laughing about. I was upset. I'm getting frustrated now. Asking, and then they're just laughing their butts off. They couldn't even form a word, right? Finally, the dad calmed down and he says, "That's the rag that we use to wash our privates."
Oh my goodness, man. See,
I tell you
look,
right
look,
now, my brother, I almost I almost lost it. I almost pushed the dad down the stairs. I almost wrestled my friend and did all the things, man. I tell you, I was disgusted. I took another shower and washed my face with my bare hands afterwards. But
but
the
hey,
reason why I say
can
that
I
is
be real
because
with you? Can I
I've
be
been
real
I've
with
been
you?
yeah. Go ahead.
You messed up. You messed up
Excuse
because
me.
where you went wrong was you assumed that that rag was a rag for you. Like you can't see, you
Mm.
can't just use a random rag. Like you got to know, okay, this one was freshly washed. It's out the
Oh
laundry. It is
God.
nicely folded. Now I can use this one on me. You can't go in a shower using a random rag. Like that's
Okay.
crazy talk, man.
Okay.
That's where you. That's why you were traumatized.
Let me break it down for you, my brother. Like I am a mixed breed, right? I am, not Caucasian, right? I'm
Mhm,
a mixed breed, and we use the soap for everything, the face, the body, everything as a kid, everything, right?
mhm,
I'm in my Caucasian friends' home, and they do things completely different. And I thought to myself, let me try out, what they do. Well, they probably use that for their face. I've watched, movies and all that where they use a rag for the face and
mhm.
use a soap for the body. Yeah, man, that was me trying. I will never make that mistake again. We
Yeah, so
never we never used a rag at us. We use a soap for everything. No,
you
heck
got to
no.
use. I mean, yeah. I mean, look. My thing is, you got to use at least two rags. One for your, nether regions, below the belly button, and
Hmm.
you use a rag, for your face. Well, one for the body, one for the face, basically. And that will. Now there's going to be a lot of washcloths in the bathroom, but that's how you maintain cleanliness. And people say, oh, the bacteria lives on it. No, you just take it, you wash it after you're done. It's that simple. It might be a lot of washing, sure, fine, but at least you're clean. And
So,
look, everybody has their view on that.
okay, so for the bacteria, that's also for drying off compared to air drying. So if you're
Yeah.
in that towel at night, I take a shower in the morning. So if you're taking a shower at night and you use your towel, you put it up and you use it in the morning, you're having bacteria already forming on your towel. And now
Yeah.
you're putting it back on your body to use. So you have to make sure that that towel is dry. Even if it's dry, there's still bacteria on it. So they
Great.
tell you, after a few washes, put that thing in the wash.
Absolutely. And you do have to do that. I agree with that. Like, really, it shouldn't be
Hmm.
no more than a day or 2 days max, right? It should be very frequent. And the same with like bed sheets and stuff like that
Hmm.
too. It's something that we don't really we don't hold to a lot of times. A lot of people don't, but that's definitely something you have to do, like, to be clean. And but it just kind of goes back to like, because if I always think about the fact that like, man, if I was rich, like there's just certain things I would always make sure I had. I would always make sure, like, I had fresh linens every day,
Yes.
like, multiple times a day. My bed would be changed
Multiple
multiple
toilets.
times a day. So, like,
So what, bro?
and,
One to pee, one to poo. Hey, man, one for the blowouts. Yeah, man.
the
Let's be real,
violence,
brother.
the violence.
So sometimes when you cough, you fart instead. Things happen.
Oh man, that's crazy. That's crazy work right there. Two totally different ends of the body, man. You know what I'm saying? And I just
And
I
when you get
think
older,
about
sometimes your body doesn't know which way to go.
right.
Oh man.
It just made me think, and I was driving down the highway today, and I just saw like the lottery sign, and it basically was like 361 million for mega ball and 301 million for some other jackpot, and I was just like, man, like
Oh,
what would I do if I ever hit the lottery, and there's some stats that prove that people that win the lottery, they actually wind up going broke like extremely quickly.
that is insane, actually.
Yeah,
When you think about that.
yeah.
Uh,
Like,
what do you use that money on? Like, do you just buy a bunch of crap and hoard it? Like, what do you do? You know?
yeah, yeah. It's crazy when you think about it. A lot of people wind up going broke so fast, and because they do silly things. They don't get the right wills and trusts set up. A lot of times they don't get a good, because they always say there's a couple of things you should always do, right? You should get a good
Hmm.
lawyer, a great tax accountant, and just like make sure that you have certain things in place to make sure
Hmm.
that your money is always working for you. And a lot of times these people would just get this money and they go crazy. They start buying houses in different states. Like I remember one guy, he bought like 3 houses in California, all mansions. He bought a couple of places in like Spain or something like that. Like he was just
Crazy.
wilding, going crazy, like going crazy with the money. And before you know it, because it's not just the cost of the house. You have to pay for maintenance too. Like it's not just you have a
Yeah.
property and that's you have to pay landscapers. They have to come and keep the property in order. Because if you live in certain neighborhoods, they don't tolerate your house looking any old kind of way. It
Oh,
has to be,
absolutely not.
So
And that
you know,
costs money.
yeah, it costs a lot of money. Like it's not like at that level, it's no more just about buying things, it's upkeep. Like you think
Oh
about,
yeah. Appearances.
how yeah, like it's like having a yacht, right? People think it's, oh, you just buy the yacht. No, you have to have a whole crew.
Mm-mm.
You have to have people that clean the boat. You have to have people that like the gas for the boat. Like,
Well, I
oh,
was just gonna say, how expensive is that gas, man?
oh man, it's
Jesus.
crazy.
No.
It's crazy, and so it's just, you can see why people tend to go broke so quickly because that money just fades, and then you wind up helping out family a lot. It's that survivor's remorse. People's
And
like,
that's why
oh man,
people go up there with like a mask on. That
exactly.
that that kills me. That kills me. They
Yeah,
they do not.
that's right. And there's a lot of people that honestly don't even go to do it like in public. They will actually claim in private, just so that way they don't have to worry
Without
about.
and
Yeah,
hmm
they don't want anybody to know, and I don't blame them because honestly, I would probably do the same thing. It's just no, I'd much rather figure this out on my own, and whoever I want to tell, I'll tell, and I'll give you your money. Make sure you're
Yep.
good because I definitely would take care of everybody that I could, that I felt it was necessary to take care of. Like
Hmm.
everybody's getting a little piece from me, everybody, because I could never live
Absolutely.
that big and watch everybody struggle. I just couldn't do
70% of people who win the lotto go broke within the first 5 years. That's
it. Right.
crazy. I would invest so much,
Oh my God.
and I would put it in, different types of, banks to get that interest. You know, I would just do so much. And I think it all goes down to what we didn't have and what we can, obtain now. I can
Yeah.
now afford this, so I'm going to have it. I can now afford that. Now I'm going to have it. I've always wanted 10 Rolexes, so I want to buy 10 Rolexes. I'm not going to wear them all, but I'm going to buy them just because I could buy them.
Yeah.
I want a Bugatti. I'll never drive it because I'm too scared to wreck it, but I'm going to make it look pretty in the front yard. It's like
Yeah. Yeah.
they buy whatever they couldn't afford, and now they're, you know, the consequences of having that and having to pay for it.
There's a lot of talk about the fact that when people get money, they actually start to live out their childhood dreams. Um, and it's
Yeah.
very true. Like, there was this comedian, he actually posted up on his IG page, like, when I was a kid, I wanted all the Jordans, right? I used to want every single pair of Jordans they had, and I could never afford them. So now that he's gotten older, he's went and bought every pair of Jordans that he's ever wanted, including some of the most famous ones, the most popular ones. And honestly,
Wow.
that's how I was too, kind of growing up. I never had a pair of Jordans growing up, as a kid. And I used to always wonder, like, man, what would it be like to have those on my feet? Like, you know,
Hmm.
I never had a pair of Reebok pumps. I used to want those so bad. Everybody, all the kids used to have those, and they'd be pumping up their
Yes.
sneakers before they play basketball. And I'm just like, oh, you could probably run
Yo,
fast with
that's
those. You could jump higher
wild.
with those. Like, come on, man.
I mean, Pumas was my thing, right? It's like
Yeah,
everyone had the Pumas, and it was just, it was just so cool wearing the
yeah.
stuff that was in, and then a year later, it's like totally outplayed. Like
Cycling out.
the long tees. Remember those?
Yeah. Oh yeah. I was man. Listen. That era, that was my era right there. But you know what's
Yo,
crazy? Like my father didn't allow me to wear super long tees. Like, I did have my era when I was in some 2X, 3X, but and this was in the summertime and he would say, you know
right.
what? Like, I don't want you going outside with that on because you'll fit the description, you know?
Yep.
And so that made me kind of think a little differently. He was like, I want you to always set yourself apart. So I have no problem with you dressing, kind of trendy or doing what you need to do, but just make sure you can always set yourself apart in some way. Like
Mhm.
they'll know, okay, when they look at you, yeah, I don't think he was involved. He might fit certain criteria, but I doubt it. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like
Right.
it just gives you better safety and more flexibility, especially growing up where I grew up.
Yep.
So
Pick up your pants, hands out your
yeah,
pocket,
that's right.
things
And they
like
did
that.
not
Yep.
tolerate that. I could not do that at all, man. And what's crazy is I remember when that trend was out and everybody was doing it, and I'm just like, man, I kind of want to try it, but it's not practical. People tripping over themselves, like they can't
Mhm.
hold their pants up. They
How
look
do you run? Sometimes some of these guys are fast like that. It's
yeah,
crazy.
it just
A
looks
little Speedy
uncute.
Gonzalez.
Like it just never looked truly appealing to me. And so like I remember I just used to see people doing that in school a lot, like around the
Hmm.
neighborhood. And I just was like, yeah, that's not for me. I just always wanted to be
Um,
clean. I want people to know when they look at me, oh, that guy, he takes care of himself.
right.
Like, you
Right.
know, I think that you got to be able to set yourself apart. And even to this day, there's just certain things that I will not do, just to make sure that, we look a certain way, we present a certain way.
No, I like that. And I sometimes see these kids walking around, and sometimes even these grown-ups, and they're sagging, and they pick up their pants to put it back down to pick it up. And I always think to myself, that is such a struggle to
Yeah.
always have to do that. Like,
Right.
and then I remember seeing this kid at a stoplight, and I think he had his phone in his back pocket, but he had to like lean back, like, yeah,
Yeah.
lean back, all the way back, just to grab his phone from his back pocket, and he looked like he was like in the Matrix. He was Neo dodging bullets. It was the stupidest look, I'm telling you.
Yeah.
I looked at him with such disgust, like, yo, just put your phone in your front pocket, or just don't sag.
Yeah. Right. And what makes me mad is like they'll be sagging, but their pants will be super tight. It's like,
Yo,
what are you doing? Why? What did you feel you were
I
doing? That's like an oxymoron. Like it makes no sense at all, bro.
no, you know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of SpongeBob. If you think about SpongeBob for a second, his little legs and his big old box body, right? Like that's how people look. You know what I'm saying? It's that funky look where it's like super tight and it has like a little like an upside down U shape where the pants is at. Like how are you walking? You know, why are you wearing, pink polka dotted boxers? You know, what the hell are you doing? They're wearing shorts. They're wearing shorts over their boxers with jeans. It's like a three-piece outfit. You know what I'm saying? Like I have three-piece suits, but that's like three-piece to a new level, you know?
Man, you take me back in the day just thinking about that era, man. Just the big suits, the Steve Harvey suits. Remember those?
Oh
Like the
my God,
big
yes.
4 or 5 button suits that came all the way
LeBron
down.
James, dude, had that for when he got drafted. He was in this big ass suit. Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
Remember the socks? Remember the socks? You had to roll them up.
Oh my god, yes. That's crazy, man. It's just, it's wild to see fashion just change over time. And the things that, I used to have back in the day, I would never wear them again. It's like, what was I
Nope.
thinking? I would
Nope.
never do it again. But for the most part, I have to say, like, it's just nice being at a place now where you realize that the clothes don't make you. Honestly, I like the fact now. Well,
Hmm.
I would say it's a little bit different now, but within the past few years, a lot of kids were able to wear pretty much whatever they wanted. It didn't have to have a specific
Hmm.
name on it anymore, like the way when we grew up it did. Like we had to
Right.
have the FUBU, the Mecca, the
Oh my
varsity,
God.
you know what I'm saying, the parasuit
Academics.
iceberg. Yeah, like in each
Oh my
like we used
God.
to
Oh,
have
Nietzsche.
yeah,
Yeah, that's wild. Oh, don't. Oh my God. That is bringing me back, bro.
telling you, like
Oh
we
man.
had to be fashionable, and the name had to be on the front of your shirt. Like if it was Tommy
Oh,
Hilfiger or
oh,
something,
1000%. Thousand
it had.
percent. Or there has to be a large tag at the bottom that shows
Oh,
it's from there.
yeah,
You know what I'm saying? Like it has to be Rockaware, or it
yes,
has to be something that just shows that, hey, you know what? This is the brand, right? It's
that's
just
right.
crazy.
And that's why I
Oh
like it
man.
now. It's nowhere near as brand centric as it used to be. People still want their brands. There's certain brands that's really popular with the younger folk
Hmm.
now, but it's
Hmm.
nowhere near the way it used to be, which is good because I think it helps to prevent a lot of inferiority complexes, or just
Yeah.
kids feel like they're not cool because they don't have something. Or like I remember back in the day, you used to be able to buy, like you could go and buy like bootleg shirts or jeans or whatever just to say you
Right.
could have a similar name. But I remember watching this show one time, and I think it was Atlanta, right? And this kid had on
Oh, Atlanta. My
that was
God.
a great show, man. And this kid had on some clothes that they could tell were fake, or they just tried to say were fake, and it just really demoralized him. Like it really made him feel bad, and I feel bad when kids have to deal with that type of stuff. Like it shouldn't even be a conversation. Kids, a lot of times they just have what they have,
Hmm.
and they already dealing with a lot. And kids can be cruel, man. Like kids could be
Absolutely.
they could be worse than adults sometimes. Like they will literally slice you up and do it in front of
Hmm.
everybody. You know what I'm saying? And so it's just it's good to see now that kids don't have some of those same worries anymore.
I mean, dude, I was wearing them denim jackets, denim pants. I had the
Yeah.
cartoon characters on it.
Oh yeah, the iceberg.
Yeah, I'm telling you, man, I love that. But then I look at it, I'm like, I would never get caught dead wearing that stuff, man. I mean,
Word
I mean, it just don't fit the same. I mean, and I also think, not to toot my own horn, but some of these cats out there are wearing some of the most ugliest pair of jeans, freaking, pants, sweats, whatever. But man, they have that saggy booty, and they have nothing to support all that. You know what I'm saying? Like, imagine wearing jeans and then your back is just sucking in. Like, I thank God I got that from my mom's side, because if I had my dad's, I'll be wearing some very loose clothing. Listen, you got to think about that stuff, right? It's like I see these guys who are like, older in life, and they're wearing these tight jeans, and they have this stomach that's just bulging out. It reminds me of that meme with that dog. It was like a little pug, and it's standing up on its hind legs, and has skinny
I
legs but a
saw
big old
that. I
belly.
saw that.
Yo, I mean, and it's not just kids with the fashion, man. It's these other folks too, you
I
know,
remember.
trying to
I
fit
remember I saw
in.
that. And it made me think about myself. I went and stood in the mirror just to make sure I didn't look like that. I was like, do I look like that when I'm like? That's something like we all think about. I'm like, yo, like, because
Nope,
when you get older, you don't really think that your body is changing sometimes
it
until you
does. Oh my
until you
God,
see a picture of yourself or somebody
I don't want to
says
talk
something
about it.
to you. You know,
I don't want to talk about that. That literally puts me in a foul mood. I'm thinking to
yeah.
myself like, man, I can't even see my toes. No, I'm kidding. I'm not like that. But I'm thinking,
Right.
you put yourself on the shirt and you're like, ooh, I wore you
Word.
last summer. What
Oh my
happened to
goodness.
you?
Yeah.
And then you start blaming the dryer, saying that
Yep.
it probably was drying your shirt for too long, and you go and buy the same shirt and you realize that it wasn't the dryer. Yeah.
Facts. And like me, I wear suits a lot, on occasion.
Hmm.
More so back in the day. I used to have to wear a suit every day to work. So, you kind of knew, how in shape you were because you had to wear, and suits are not forgiving like that. Like, so
Nope.
this, you worked at some of
Hmm.
the big time clothiers, so you know what it's like.
Yep.
Especially if you're getting custom made, you have
Oh,
to make sure your body is right.
you're gonna rip it. You're gonna
Yeah.
rip everything if you do the wrong
Sure.
moves.
I remember one time, this was about 2, 3 years ago, and this was like kind of right after, even still during the pandemic. And I went to go put on a suit that I hadn't worn in about a year, year and a half, because we weren't going outside like that.
Hmm.
Man, I went and got this. I had got a couple custom suits made on Fifth Avenue. Uh,
Mm.
like I'm sure you're familiar with like the My Suit NYC type spots and all those type
My
places.
suit and my suit. Yep, the custom made suits. Yep.
That's right, man. So I
Hmm.
had gotten some from there, and when I tell you perfect, and at that time I was in the gym every day. I was swimming. I was just doing all this, and so like that suit fit me great, right? So I went to
Right.
go put it on, bro. I
Hmm.
could not get the button to close on the pants, and I was just like,
Bro.
dog, what happened to me? What happened?
Mm.
It's gradual. Like, and
Bro.
mind you, what's crazy is like those suits, you might be able to gain, let's say, 10, 15 pounds before it's like, all right, you can't wear this thing no more.
Keep the fabric in the seat. Do not cut out my fabric.
Right. And
You
that was
know?
one of the things that I had to learn was that sometimes you gotta tell them, leave some fabric, leave it there.
No, but that's the thing, man. Like when I was working at, you know, some of these fashion stores, man, I'll tell you right now, it's like I say it over and over again. Keep the fabric in there. And I worked in corporate, I was a sales trainer, but I did some sales as well, and I would tell them, always keep some fabric in, you never know. And the response I get all the time, and mind you, with some bravado, I'm good. I'm actually gonna be
Right.
cutting weight. So, it's fine. And next thing you know, you see them 6 months later, a year later, and they went from a 42 regular to now, a 44 portly.
Yo,
And, and you give them a look, and they give you the look like, yeah, okay.
I know,
Like,
I know.
what do I do with my other suit? I'm like, oh, no, you can give it away.
Give it the goodwill,
Um,
exactly.
yeah, but then they're like, you know what? I'm leaving it there for motivation. I'm gonna get back into that suit. You see them the next year, and you're like, what's happening? I get busy. Life happens. I have kids.
Yeah, and that's another thing too, is like, you think that weight, you'll be able to lose it sometimes and get right back to where you used to be. And it's like, no, it doesn't always work out like that because,
Nope.
I think as we get older, it's just we got too much stuff to do. Like you might be able to, come down 10, 15 pounds, let's say, whatever case might be. But
Mhm.
sometimes I like unless you really are disciplined and you're able to force yourself into a specific regimen, it's not always that easy. Like you will never be able to fit some of that same stuff again if you allow yourself to lose control. You know,
It's tough. It's tough. Sometimes you just say, you know what, F it. I'm just gonna sit comfortably with where I'm at, and
mhm.
I don't really care what people say. I was talking to my little brother, and he was putting his son into the back seat, and he had me on FaceTime, and he was wearing a Adidas shirt with Under Armour shorts and Nike slides. And I look at him and I'm like, "You going out like that, Manny?" And he goes, "Yo, I'm a dad. I don't care." He goes, "I'm a dad. I don't care." And
Yeah,
gets in the car and he's like, "All right, I'm gonna go do dad things. See ya." So it was the funniest thing, and he's like, "I don't care. I'm happily married. I
yeah,
have a kid. I'm a dad. Like, why do I have to appease, others around me? Why do I have to look good for them? I don't have to look good for anybody other than myself, my wife, and obviously my
mm,
kid. My kid loves me. He likes, and he's like he likes standing on my stomach and putting his head into my chest and sleeping there. I'm like, that's great. He goes, yeah, so I can't lose the weight. My
you
kid
know,
loves it.
and that's what's crazy. Like, I think about that too, just when it comes to like you said, when you get in a relationship or you happy, you just like, look, I'm good. I'm dad. I'm this, I'm that. I can't say that I've ever been there like, where
Hmm.
it's like, yo, I'm completely content with what I look like. No, that's never been it for me.
Nope.
I admire the dads that do feel that way. Like, yo,
Hmm.
I'm good. I got my wife at home. I got my girl at home. I got my kids. I'm straight. In my mind, I'm just always like, oh, nah, I need to get rid of this. I need to do this. I got to do
Yep.
that. You know what I'm saying? I'm about to get
Yep.
in the gym tomorrow. I've
Get
always
my Happy Meal eating ass on the treadmill. Yes.
word. I had one
Yes.
too many Chick-fil-A sandwiches this month. Let me dial it back a little bit. So
I
it's
mean,
I
Chick-fil-A is
can
pretty
live.
bomb, bro.
it is bomb. I mean, you can never fault anybody for having some Chick-fil-A and some waffle fries, man. You can't. You just can't.
Oh wait, oh hold on, real quick on that. I heard that Chick-fil-A is actually not that great for you because of all
Yes.
the stuff that they
Yes.
put in there to increase the flavor. But
Yeah,
what's even worse than Chick-fil-A is Starbucks food. Yo,
bro.
Starbucks meat is freaking disgusting. And then whoever's listening, if you do not agree with me, Google it. Starbucks meat is one of the worst you can ever get at any fast food. It is insane. Worse than Five Guys, by the way.
Really.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
That's what
Disgusting.
really, I think, unfortunately, in this country, like food, it's really like in terms of what people can partake, what people can, ingest into their systems. It really just depends on the day. Like, these companies have these ways of
Hmm.
just mass marketing food or mass producing food in a way where they know it's not healthy for us. Like they know it is absolute trash, but it's quick
Hmm.
and it's easy.
Hmm.
And you think about a Starbucks, initially it was there for coffee. And it's like, you know what, we can give them something a little extra. Let's boost up the revenues a bit. Let's find something cheap that we can make and throw it in the microwave real quick. And that to
Hmm.
me is like, if you can throw something in the microwave, I don't want it.
Bro,
Like
no.
I'm good. And it
Make
just,
it fresh.
yeah, like as I've gotten older now, I'm starting to see all these, articles now from different health magazines about all these foods we were eating when we were super young, ramen
Hmm.
noodles, Happy
Oh my
Meals, French
God.
fries, like all the sodium and
Hmm.
it's just, wow. Like, I remember they tried to set like a hamburger on fire and it couldn't light. It wouldn't stay lit. Like they would leave them out for months and months and they wouldn't get mold on them. And it's like, okay,
My
what?
stomach's bubbling, brother. I can't be hearing this. My stomach's bubbling. It's jumping around, thinking to myself, like, yo, you want a McDonald's meal, but you don't want it. You know what I'm saying? Like it's that give and take. I don't know, it's that battle within. Like you want to eat, but you don't want to eat it. You know what I'm saying?
Ex-
Like you want to take that bite, but you don't want to take that bite. And now you want to take that last bite, but you don't want to take that last bite. Then you take that last bite and you're like, man, did I just do
right.
that? Okay, next time, I'm not going to eat it. I'm not going to get this, right?
Yep. Yep.
And then you do.
Did you hear about the stat that every hot dog you eat takes off 30 minutes of your lifespan?
Who the heck said that?
Yeah. This is my problem. I read too
What?
many doggone health articles and yeah, and so there was an article that came out and said that, it's highly processed, of course, and we still really don't know all the things that make up hot dogs. Like, unless you're buying a specific type of hot dog and, let's say it's beef only or something along those lines, like, there's
Hmm.
no real way you really know what it all, like, it all makes up. Like, there's hooves, I've heard, like, that's a part of hot dogs. Like, it's
Hmm.
just ridiculous. And so, every hot dog you eat takes off 30 minutes of your lifespan. I was just talking to somebody about that. And I was like, yo, there's a hot dog spot not too far, whatever the case might be. And she was like, yeah, like I don't know. And mind you, she used to love hot dogs back in the day, right? And she was like, yeah, I don't know, man. I can't even eat them like that anymore. And it just really makes you wonder, like, all the stuff that we've been eating all these years it's been slowly taking us down, like slowly killing a lot of people. And we wonder like these spikes in cancer rates and stuff like that, like
Hmm.
what does that stem from? And it's a lot of these foods that we're eating, a lot of these trash foods.
So you said it's 30 seconds, right? That it takes off.
Yeah.
So
No, 30
Johnny
minutes,
Chestnut,
30 minutes, 30
Johnny
minutes.
Chestnut has consumed over 1,000 hot dogs.
Oh
And that guy
man,
has won
how
over 16 competitions. Johnny Chestnut. And 1,064 hot dogs to be exact.
I'm about to do the calculation right now.
Yeah.
The
1,064 and 30. That's tough. I don't want to
60,
I wouldn't want to be him. No, thank you.
that's 31,000 minutes. Hold on. So
31,000 minutes, bro.
yeah, 31,920 minutes of someone's life. So what does that equate to in terms of years? That's crazy. I don't even think that might not be a full year, but even if it's 1 year, right? Like
Hmm.
That's insane. That's insane, man. Like
I don't know, man. That's a hard pill to swallow. I love my hot dogs. You know, I don't have them all the time. I'll go to a Winter
me.
Schnitzel, and I got me a chili cheese hot dog. Not gonna lie, I'm a sucker for it. Now I'm gonna have to
Yeah,
rethink some things. I
20.
like my minutes.
That's 22 days. That equals 22 days.
22 days, man.
Yeah.
That
I
could
mean,
be another episode of a show that I'm watching, or more time spent with a fam. You know what I'm saying?
facts,
Like,
facts, man.
that's crazy.
Like, yo, I'll eat a good, hot dog. You know what I'm saying? There's this place I really want to try. Like, I'm like, I can give up 30 minutes. Like my thing is, if I'm gonna die that day anyway, all right,
Oh
fine.
my
Might as well
God.
just, I don't mind dying at 6:30 instead of 7. I'm okay. Like,
Nah, nah, I'm good, bro. Look, you know
right.
what? I say not now, but then later on, I'm probably gonna scarf down a few hot dogs, so it's fine. It's fine. Whatever.
And what's crazy is like all these places are like gourmetifying foods now. So, like this particular place, like they made the food look so good. It's topped with bacon, something else that's
Mm,
really bad for us. But like all these different,
salivating.
oh man, like it looks so good. I'm like, man, I really am a big bag at heart, man. Like,
You said a big back at heart.
yeah, I'm a big bag at heart, man.
So you go to these places and you buy these foods. Are they the same price now than they were back in the day, right? Like food, I think, has just been increased by a
Oh,
lot since I was a kid. I mean, I would remember going to, get a burger and some fries and a drink over at McDonald's, and that was, $5. And
yeah.
now you go there and it's like $12,
Yeah. I remember when you said
$15.
the number two, it was the two cheeseburger meal.
Oh, that was the
With
best.
two cheeseburger. My boy used to work at McDonald's back in the day, and you could get a two cheeseburger meal, French fries, and a drink for $2.99, bro. For
Wow.
two now that
Wow.
same meal you can't get for less than $9. Like it's literally a four times, like a 4x increase in spend on food, and like you got to think, like a lot of families, that's what they eat every day because it's among them,
Mhm.
and they're still spending a good 50, $60. You know what I'm
No,
saying? Per
man. Give me a fried bologna with some eggs. Give me that fried bologna with some eggs and a nice
like
tortilla.
spam or
Thank you
two,
very
right?
much. Thank you very much. A little bit of hot sauce. Thank you very much. No, like that's insane. And you know what's highway robbery? Is these freaking theaters. You go in there and you have to buy your ticket, which for one is like 15, $20 a ticket. And then when you go up there, it's like $50 for food. Stupid.
Bro. And that's where a lot of these companies make the money, right? They make the money in concessions. Like the movie
Hmm.
theaters is not the cost of the movie. They know that you're gonna spend at least 30, $40 per person on snacks and nachos and drinks. And every time I go in there as an adult, I'm just
Hmm.
counting the numbers. I'm counting the dollars. It's just like ching, 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 ching. It's just ringing off in my head. And I'm like, I can't
Hmm.
do this. So I started bringing in like my own snacks. Like, I'm just
Cheap
if anybody,
bastard.
I'm sorry, but I'm bringing in my own food. Like that's just what I do because one, I might have
Hmm.
some dietary restrictions. I might want to eat some cauliflower or whatever the case
Oh
might
my
be.
God. Oh, what are you gonna bring in some dry cauliflower? It's like, no,
Exactly.
stop.
Maybe with a
Stop.
side of gummy bears or like some Sour Patch Kids or something.
There,
But
there we go. Exactly. Get to the real stuff. Don't try to make yourself seem healthy. Come on now. Don't forget my Nutter Butters.
I need a dietary excuse. I'm like, yeah, man, I can't eat any of this.
They're like, we have the same foods, same candies here. Okay.
Right. Yeah.
You guys have better hands, bro. I can't touch your stuff.
Thanks, man. Well, listen, man, this, yeah, look, I want to do what needs to be done, man. And I'm going to spend $10, $15 at the CVS or the store
Hmm.
or the supermarket. And I'm not going to spend 70, $80 on some food at the movie. That's not what I'm doing.
That's wild.
So I get it, man. But listen, man, you know what time it is? We
Oh
doing
yes.
our segment where it's,
Hmm.
basically something we didn't know yesterday. Or what you
Okay.
got for me?
Well, pretty disgusting. Air you breathe underground is 15% human skin. Now, this is for this is a crazy subway fact, right? 15% human skin. So researchers found that a significant chunk of subway dust is made of dead skin cells from passengers. So congratulations, you just inhaled someone from yesterday's commute.
Yeah,
Yep.
that is nuts right there. Okay, I'm going back to wearing masks. Y'all can get mad if you want to, but
I'm telling you, man, it is disgusting. So
oh my god,
congratulations. You're sucking in
bro.
somebody. Oh
Oh,
my god, that came out wrong. My bad.
yo,
Um,
pause. That sounded so crazy. That sounded nuts, yo.
but if it's Anna de Arma, I'm jealous.
Yeah. Yo, oh my God, that's hilarious. And I can't tell you, you lived in the city too. We used to ride the
Absolutely.
subway multiple times a day, every day.
Oh,
Like,
yeah. I mean,
bro,
I was on the subway floor sometimes, freaking drunk as heck. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't want to get into that, but let me tell you, bro, it was some wild times. 13 years in New York. Yeah.
man, that's another, when I tell you, we're gonna have a discussion about all of the fun times we had in the city, man. Like
Oh,
that's,
yes, we will.
bro, we got stories for days on that. Days on days, man. Like,
When I go there, we're gonna have a video reunion. We'll
yeah,
do
man,
all the good things.
we definitely gonna memorialize that, man. We got to get some of the old gang out there too with us, man. That'll be fun, man.
Oh man, we're gonna paint the town red.
Um,
You don't want that. Ladies, watch out. Watch out.
watch out, man. It's crazy. Like, just think about what you said about the subway. Like, man, all those hot summers in the subways, waiting for trains, and like you said,
Disgusting.
that's the now I'm be thinking about that every time I catch the subway.
Well, also
But
think about the ventilation, right? Like that
yeah,
stuff's
like,
being just, roll through the same thing. And it's crazy
oh,
because you're like in the subway with someone who hasn't, washed themselves for I don't know how many months, or someone who has bad BO, or you know what I'm
yeah.
saying? Like you got to think
Oh,
about all the
that's
things
the
that's
worst.
going into your system.
Oh, man. That stuff
Yeah,
puts me in the mood too. Like, don't
you're
don't let it
welcome.
be summertime and get musty. Like, there's no reason for you to smell. I shouldn't be able to smell you, bro. Like, put some on. Put some deodorant on. Real talk.
Summer nights, brother. Summer nights.
Fact. So that was actually really a good fact, and it has me rethinking my life now. Mine is the fact that this is pretty interesting. We are actually sharing 60% of our DNA with bananas.
Say word.
Yeah.
60%
And
of our DNAs. Oh my
yes,
God.
60% of our DNA is related to bananas, and 1% is genetically identical to a banana.
Hmm.
So I thought that was pretty interesting. I would like to see what, the
That is
makeup
interesting.
is of, these different berries, since we just found out that bananas are berries and not actually
Oh my
uh,
God.
just
That's
regular
so
pieces of fruit.
annoying.
And
That's
strawberries
so
aren't
annoying.
even berries.
Yeah. That's so annoying. I hate that actually.
Yeah, it's
Like why
interesting.
why why you tricking? Why you tricking
Right.
us?
It's interesting how they
Stupid.
classify different like genuses of vegetables and fruits and things, and
Mm.
that's crazy stuff. But yo, man, this has been another excellent convo with you, man. We always have a good
Bananas.
yeah. And
Oof.
yeah, man. We thank you all for joining. Anything you want to lead us off with before we go, Ace?
Absolutely. Air drying is better than using a towel. I don't care what you say. And also, when I was just laughing earlier, my back cracked. So,
Oh
that's
man,
that's a sign.
bro, you an
So
old
for
geezer. Bro.
so
You're old
okay.
geezer.
Oh, okay. So for all the laughing backcrackers out there, I feel you.
Oh man, listen. Salute to getting old, guys. Enjoy your bourbon or your tequila, whatever you're drinking, because we're gonna need some more of it. But have a good night,
All
everybody.
right.
Peace out.
All right. Later.